Please welcome CVP Microsoft 365, Nicole Herskowitz.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Ignite. It has been a big year. It's been almost an amazing, incredible journey as we launched and GA'd Microsoft 365 Copilot about a year ago. I want to start by thanking this community, everyone in Chicago. Thank you for waking up and showing up at 8:30 in the morning, and of course, everyone online for embarking on this AI journey with us. As IT pros, you are being bombarded with new innovation, and it can't be easy. And while AI is an exciting opportunity, we know it's a huge responsibility. And the path forward is full of unknowns. Here's why. Innovation alone does not lead to transformation. Transformation happens because of you. And while Microsoft is here to partner with you on this journey, you're the ones to make it happen. It's our job to listen, to understand your business, and put the right innovation in your hands. Now, I've heard from many of you that there are 3 key challenges when it comes to embracing AI. First, your employees are still learning how to use AI tools in their day-to-day jobs. You know better than anyone else that simply giving end users new tech doesn't mean that their work instantly transforms. Second, it's hard to know how AI is having real business impact. While saving your employees time is great, you're looking for true business value, which lies in saving dollars. Lastly, some of you share that you're worried. You don't want AI to uncover old or irrelevant documents or data, or even worse, expose confidential information that shouldn't be exposed to certain employees. Deploying AI can feel like a risky proposition. We're not shying away from any of these challenges. In fact, it's where we're investing the most. Copilot continues to evolve based on your feedback and your business needs. It's an AI assistant for every employee, designed to improve productivity. And it's becoming more interactive, more personalized, and more proactive in the apps your employees use every single day. And now with GPT-4o and enhanced orchestration, we continue to dramatically improve performance. Next, to improve your bottom line, Copilot agents will be directly embedded into your business processes, from the simple, like expense reports, to the complex, like financial reporting. And Copilot has a rich layer of IT controls that helps your organization stay secure and compliant, while giving you visibility into the business impact of your AI investments. With your help, this turns innovation into true business transformation. Now, I want to make this real by showing you how Copilot is your personal productivity partner, by showing you how I use Copilot in my job at Microsoft. All right, so as a business leader at Microsoft, I regularly meet with customers. And I like to have an up-to-date view of everything that's going on in my customers before a meeting. But I don't have a lot of time to prepare. Now, when I prep for a customer meeting, like one with Boulder Innovations, an EV charging company, I start in Copilot. I come right here, and I put in a prompt. And I jumped a little too quickly, so I'm going to delete that. It's a nice, real demo, even though Copilot's going to work. I'm going to stop generating. You know my demo is live here. All right, now I've run the prompt. And here I'm asking Copilot to look over all the updates I have on Boulder Innovation across my emails, my chats, my meetings, my documents. So I have an end-to-end summary of everything that's going on with Boulder Innovations. I also asked Copilot to give me some recommendations on how to have the most effective call with Boulder Innovations. And Copilot said, focus on these key topics right here. Super helpful for me to get up and running with that customer conversation. But I want to turn this into a more durable asset that I can use, I can continue to iterate with Copilot on. So I'm going to edit it in Copilot Pages. Now I have this very rich, durable asset where I can continue to get work done, but I want to actually share it with my colleagues because this is a multiplayer canvas. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to mention a few of my colleagues that are on the account team for Boulder Innovations. And I'm going to ask them to add content to this customer briefing doc that I'm now creating. And all right, it's off to the races. Hopefully the team will join and start entering some information about their experiences with the customer. Now next, I want to better understand the market and the industry that Boulder Innovations is a part of. I want to understand the EV charging industry a little bit better. So I am going to tap into one of the hundreds of connectors that we have that bring data into Microsoft Graph. And here this is the CB Insights connector. And now I'm going to be able to get all of this rich data about the industry trends, the market analysis, that will help me more effectively understand the business context of Boulder Innovations. Copilot even put information in a table right here to the right, so you can really see how I'm able to organize this information to have a better sense of what's going on. And if you've been watching on the right, my team members are also adding a bunch of different content to help me be prepared for this customer meeting. All right, I'm going to add the industry trends information into the page. And now you can see that table came over. And what's really great is I often want to collaborate not just on text, but using diagrams or charts, even blocks of code. Now Copilot Pages supports all of those rich artifacts. And yes, my team members are still adding more content. Once again, this rich multiplayer information source we now have in place. All right, next, while preparing for these customer meetings is so important, I want to spend more of my time with customers versus trying to find content to understand their situation. I really want Copilot to proactively pull information together for me each time before a customer meeting. Now, with Copilot Actions, I can automate these everyday tasks like this one that I just mentioned with a simple fill-in-the-blocks prompts that then I can just prompts that I can set and forget. So here I am now in Copilot Actions. There's all these nice templates that are available to me. I'm going to browse the templates and choose a template that aligns most to what I'm looking for here. Basically, I want to look across all of my communications. So my emails, my team's chats, my meetings. I want it to be specific to Boulder Innovations. And I want to look over the past month because I haven't met with them in a month. And then I want this information to be notified to me in my email. That's where I go to check my information most commonly. And I want to get it on a monthly basis because I meet with Boulder Innovations once a month. I hit create. I get a summary of my Copilot action. I create it. And voila, I now have an action which will provide basically a personal automation for me to get this information in my inbox once a month. What's great about actions is I've got a list of them that I can maintain here. I can edit them. I can delete them. If my projects change, it's very easy for me to use this as a way to just kind of have proactive support from Copilot. Now I'm going to switch to Outlook. And here you can see a previous Copilot action that I set up is right here for another customer, Contoso. It was a similar kind of template that I used. It summarized updates across email, across Teams chat, across meetings. You can see the various different citations. So if I want to pop over to any of that content, it's easy for me to drill deeper into the customer situation. I now set up actions for all of my customers, so I have their information at my fingertips. Okay, now, if you're like me, setting up and preparing for customer meetings is not the only thing that takes up my time. I also spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's most important in my inbox. I get so many emails. Well, thanks to Copilot, I can now have Copilot proactively prioritize all of my emails. Copilot will now, if I select priority by Copilot, indicate for me the most important emails and tell me why Copilot prioritized those emails. So for example, I'm going to open this first one. It's not a black box. Copilot told me that it's prioritized because it's about Boulder Innovations, It's very specific people that I typically interact with, maybe manager, maybe key stakeholders. Maybe it was also mentioned in this specific mail thread, which if I scroll down, you'll see a task was assigned to me. Very clear that this is an email that's important for me to focus in on. Now, there's another challenge I often have. I get added to emails with really long threads, and it's hard for me to really understand what's going on. That's okay. Summary by Copilot gives me a quick snapshot view of what that email thread is all about. I can review it, figure out if I need to drill deeper into that email. All right, now what I love even more about all of these capabilities and prioritizing my inbox is that I can teach Copilot. I can make Copilot even more personalized for me. So I can come in here and add something. For example, I want to ensure that every email about Contoso, in addition to Boulder Innovations, is prioritized. You can see I've said any email from Jeff Teeper is prioritized. I can add and change these at any time as my projects change, as the people I work with change. I can be teaching Copilot, so Copilot is once again more personalized for me. All right, I'll go ahead and save this, and I will close out. Now, based on this email thread, it is very clear that I need to meet with the product team before going into the conversation with Boulder Innovations. And Copilot can help me there as well. If I go into Schedule with Copilot, here you can see another very tedious task of setting up meetings is all handled by Copilot. So I can scroll down. Copilot has proposed an agenda for me. It's summarized the email thread so far. I can go ahead and insert that. It's also added all those people who were on that email thread. I'm going to make this a monthly meeting because I want to meet every time right before our customer meeting with Boulder Innovations. I'm also going to add a meeting location because I want to ensure that we can meet in person if the team wants to. Now, here's another super secret feature of Copilot. How many times do you book a reoccurring meeting in Outlook and then the meeting room declines and you don't know it? Well, Copilot is smart now. It will rebook a room for you, or if the meeting is rescheduled, it will also find a room that is available. Oh, that's amazing. All right, I am now going to go ahead and send this meeting invite to my team, and I will switch to the final thing that will show, which is PowerPoint. I need to prepare a deck for the customer meeting. Now, if you're like me, oh gosh, this blank sheet of paper, it's hard. Where do you start to create that PowerPoint slide? Well, now Copilot is here to help me again, my partner in crime. What's also important is I use my company template. It's a customer meeting. I want to make sure I show up with the brand that's important to my organization, so I can use any corporate template. This is the one my company uses. I am going to now start creating that presentation. Now, a lot of time I have content for presentations that are already in documents or other files. Well, Copilot supports that as well. I can just go ahead and choose this Boulder Innovation Strategy document, and now Copilot will use that content to create the presentation. Now, you rarely go from prompt right to a full slide deck. Well, that's okay, you don't need to, because with Narrative Builder, I now get an outline of my slide deck before I actually create the slides. I kind of think about it like storyboarding. What's so great is I can continue to iterate with Copilot right here. For example, maybe I want to talk about implementing agents before talking about vision and roadmap. No problem, I can make that change. I can delete topics, I can add topics. It's really easy to be able to iterate with Copilot right in this experience. Okay, I think I like the outline. I'm going to go ahead and generate the slides. Now Copilot is doing all the hard work. Copilot is reading that document, it's organizing the information, it's looking at all the key words that are actually in the document and selecting images. Maybe they're stored in an asset library I have at my organization in a SharePoint site, or maybe even a third-party asset library like Templify. It's starting to produce all of those slides. It's adding speaker notes. It's adding animations and transitions. It's really going to give me a rich first draft. This usually takes me hours, if not days, to create. And look, in minutes, Copilot gave me a nice first draft. Woohoo! All right, and I can continue to iterate with Copilot, right? A first draft is never ready to go. I can come in here and say, you know what, there's just too many words on this slide. I'm gonna go ahead and condense it. Copilot will choose the most important words. Once again, go back and forth to make this into a really high quality deck. Now, I can see speaker notes were added, so this deck will be ready for me to present. I can even go into slideshow mode, and you can see those animations that are in place. Once again, a great first draft to get ready to share this deck with my team so that then we can go ahead and prepare for the customer meeting. Now, these are just a few of the new Copilot enhancements designed to improve productivity. As you said, you can see right here, we're making Copilot more interactive, more personalized, and more proactive. And all the apps your employees use every single day to help drive user adoption. But productivity is not just a personal activity. It's a team sport. So I am excited to invite one of my favorite people to collaborate with on stage, Jeff Teper. Woo! Hello. All right. All right. Thank you for joining me, Jeff.
It's great to be here.
It's great to be here. All right, great. Well, this is really good timing because the Boulder Innovations account team wants to meet about our product strategy before we meet with the customer. Yep. So I think we should get into a meeting.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we've got Copilot. We're late, but Copilot's going to catch us up to the meeting. And we're going to go ahead and ask it to recap everything that's shown so far. And it's not just going to cover the conversation and the chat, but we're using the new latest multimodal model to capture what's shared in the meeting as well on the screen, and even have citations for the conversation slide by slide. And so you can see the slides that were presented before you and I showed up, and you can see citations so that I can see, hey, Kai Carter said, could we change the title of the slide? So we are ready to go. We didn't miss a beat. But of course, you know, a lot of what's focused on in meetings is resolving conflict and tension about plans where we have to discuss. So let's diplomatically ask Copilot to say, what was the debate about the proposed options that were shown in the meeting? And so I'm going to go ahead and enter that prompt. And again, it's going to reason over the slides as well as the conversation. And it looks at the three options and gives us the assessment of when we could ship, December, February, and April. You and me have been in a few conversations about the ideal time to ship and launch in our careers. And so maybe we can help the team make the discussion on the right date to launch this solution. So there you go, right with the new Copilot multimodal capabilities helping us catch up and help the team.
Fantastic. I'll always say ship earlier, and he'll probably say, let's be more reasonable. All right. Now, there's another really important but tedious task in meetings that I wanted to ask you about, Jeff. Taking notes. Do you have anything to show here that Teams does?
Yeah, you bet. So Copilot, as we released it last year with the meeting recap capabilities and new multimodal model, is private. It is just answering your questions without sharing it with the rest of the group. With the new intelligent agent capabilities we showed, and specifically this facilitator agent, we can do work on behalf of the team in public. And so we have this AI notes feature you can see I clicked on there. And periodically during the meeting, it's going to revise the live notes. And that flashed by pretty quickly because it'd been doing it in the background in the meeting. You can see the agenda, the meeting notes, follow-up tasks, et cetera. You know, if this is all like the Pages technology, all editable, so I could add something to the, it's multiplayer, as you said. And then I can go down to the tasks, and I can assign those to people. And I don't know what the AI is doing, but it thinks I should assign everything to you, Nicole. But you're pretty busy, so I'm going to take this one off your plate and assign it to myself so that you're not doing all of the work. We'll do some of it for you.
All right, well, I'm excited for my team to start using the facilitator agent so they can focus more on the discussion and less of the time on taking notes. All right, now, Jeff, there's one other challenge that I want to ask you about, which is global communications. Like many of you at Microsoft, we work on global and diverse teams. Up until now, we conduct all of our meetings in English. And while this makes collaboration easy, what we gain in ease we lose in inclusivity, especially for those who are not native English speakers. Do you have anything there?
Yeah, absolutely true. I have a global team that speaks multiple languages, and we want all our meetings to be inclusive, so everybody's heard and everybody's contributing. And so I'm very, very excited to show you our new interpreter agent. So first, let me say hello to Sonia. Sonia, hi. Can you say hello back?
Hi, Jeff. It's great to see you. And I'm looking forward to discussing how you can help us on this account.
That's great, Sonia. So you heard Sonia speak in English. Let me go ahead and use this new interpreter feature. And I'm going to go into Language and Speech, turn on AI interpretation, pick the language. In this case, Sonia is speaking English, but we want to hear her in Spanish. And what's going to be pretty amazing is it's going to be in her voice, but in Spanish. So let's give her the thumbs up so she can go. And just like an interpreter, it needs to let her talk for a second before it can pick up.
We had a great discussion, and it's clear what we need to do next. I'm looking
Tuvimos
forward
una
to
gran
meeting with the
discusión.
customer next week.
Y está claro lo que tenemos que hacer a continuación. Espero reunirme con el cliente la próxima semana.
Yeah.
Woo!
Pretty amazing, right? It's like having an interpreter with us. And again, so with these new multimodal agents in Teams, this is making the experience so much better as the AI is listening, seeing, reading, and making the meeting more effective for everybody.
All right, Jeff, I think we wrap this meeting up, and it looks like you have no shortage of work to do, so I'm going to let you get to product planning.
Yeah, sounds good. I knew I shouldn't have assigned that task to myself. Okay, let's switch back to the main Teams app and go into Planner. We've been tasked to build an AI agent that enables customer service at the EV charging. And so I'm in Planner, and I can see all my tasks. But let's go create a new plan. And for this, we're going to use another one of our agents, the Project Manager agent. And I'm going to give that a name for the EV charging service, pin it, add it to the product and engineering group. And this is great. Planner helps with a very simple interface give you a lot more effective project management. Traditionally, these things would have flown around in meetings, in emails, and chats. And here with Planner and Teams, we give you a simple, structured way to keep track of the plan. And that's going to come up in just a second here. But before it does, it's going to ask me, like any good project manager would be, what's the goal of the plan? And so I'm going to give it the goal to give it a product plan that builds an AI agent that enables customer service, and it's going to generate that. And you're thinking, hey, project management tool has been around for a long time. In the past, you would have used a template for that. That would have been helpful. But this isn't some generic template. This is grounded on your data in SharePoint, so it knows the context of the site associated with the plan, and it's building a much more relevant plan for our project. And you can see it's come up with a suggested set of tasks for this. I'm going to assign 2 of these to the project manager agent. And so this is really important. The project manager agent doesn't just come up with the plan, but it actually can do the work for some of the tasks as well. And you can see that animation there in board view. And what's going on is Satya mentioned yesterday AutoGen, a new multi-agent runtime developed by Microsoft Research that allows a top-level agent to coordinate the work of other agents. These could be agents we give you out of the box, like this one. They could be agents you build with SharePoint or Copilot Studio. And this orchestration is all tracked in a very familiar board view. And sure enough, the project manager agent has come up with the market research plan. And again, we've got another one of these co-editable pages. And you can see a lot of detail. Again, not a generic project management template, but grounded in your data, including information about case studies and technologies and competitors. And I could go in and actually, like I would with a person, add a comment to this research plan, and regenerate with AI, and it would take my feedback anchored on the plan and revise it. I'm actually, in the interest of time, going to not do that here. I'm going to do what I personally love to do multiple times a day, which is get stuff done with this amazing ding sound in Planner. There we go. So our intelligent agent, and you can see it completed, not only came up with the plan, but it took on a couple of the tasks and pretty much covered one of the tasks for me. So that's incredibly exciting. So to wrap up, from enhancing Copilot in Teams to adding out-of-the-box agents in Microsoft 365, I'm so excited we're helping transform work so every team can get more things done, but also every member of the team can learn and grow their skills. But as Nicole said, productivity is not the only part of the AI transformation we're enabling. The other key thing is business process. And at the heart of every business process is your organization's most critical knowledge. And usually when they need to find that knowledge, they have to go to a person. They have to find an expert, which is still a great thing to do with our communication tools. But with SharePoint agents, we can automate a lot of the work, getting everybody to have access to the knowledge and make better decisions. And so I'm very excited we did the GA this week of SharePoint agents. And we've already had, since the preview, thousands of customers adopting the agents, building new ones every week, and giving them feedback. We've also heard from all these customers a whole bunch of use cases around HR and customer service and marketing and operations and more that have really helped us help you all build the business case for this and help us refine the product. Let me highlight a couple of the specific customers. There's Boehringer Ingelheim. They're a global pharmaceutical company who created an agent from SharePoint to help assist product teams navigate the launch readiness process. And then there's Amy, who's a leading provider of engineering, operations, and decarbonization solutions in the UK. They created a health and safety agent to make sure their frontline workers had answers to questions quickly to keep them safe on the job. And these are just two examples of the unique scenarios people are coming up with. I'm going to now show you how Wells Fargo would use a SharePoint agent for a common business process for power of attorney guidance. And so here I am in the latest new SharePoint UX for the Wells Fargo site. You can see, great-looking website. Wells Fargo has a document library on this site for their procedures for their power of attorney. I'm going to go into that, and you can see there's a lot of documents their customer service agents would have to learn to be able to answer their questions of their customers efficiently. We'll go in and select all the documents because we want the agent to be grounded on them. Click on Create an Agent. I can take a look at the documents there, but let's go a little more behind the scenes where I can create the icon. It was inherited from the sites. I can change the sources. One thing that's exciting here is I could customize this agent further in Copilot Studio, but we're going to go with the out-of-the-box one. And then I can adjust the behaviors. Here, I'm going to adjust one of the stock prompts to be more specifically relevant to this particular agent. So I'll go ahead and save and close this up. And just like that, instantly, we've got our agent that's been created from SharePoint. I could ask a question right there, but I want to share this with my team, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that agent, go into Teams, and I'm into this Wells Fargo escalation chat, where I can paste this agent right into the chat. And let's go ahead and add it in there, so it can be a member of the team answering questions for everybody. And sure enough, it's typing, and it's going to come back with the standard prompts that I've helped curate. So it's ready to go. So let's ask it a little harder question than the generic one. Sorry, I should have mentioned it like that. Power of attorney agent. And then, can that notary act as an agent and sign documents on behalf of the principal? We'll go ahead and ask that question, It's going to be highly grounded on the content that I've specified in SharePoint. And again, because this is SharePoint, all of your security controls, all of them, conditional access, authorization, ACLs, labels, sharing controls, all of them are honored in this process, unlike any other way to build AI solutions. I think this is both the easiest and the more secure way to do this new agent development in SharePoint. In this case, it did notice not everybody in the conversation has access to the documents. So it's going to ask me for permission first before it answers the question. And sure enough, one of the documents is labeled confidential. I look at the answer and say, that looks fine. It looks fine to share that. So let me go ahead and send that and post that into the team. And there we go. We've just helped the team be more efficient. And if someone other than me, who didn't have access to the document, asked a question in the agent, it would do the best it could with the permissions that the person asking the question and the others in the chat with what they had permission to see in that conversation. So super excited about the new SharePoint agent capabilities and everything else we showed. And having an expert on your team like this is very critical. But Wells Fargo has told us they also need to transform a range of their existing applications to empower their customer service agents, analysts, and officers. To show this capability with Copilot Studio and more, I'm very excited to bring up Ryan Cunningham to the stage to show us Wells Fargo's next steps in their AI journey. Ryan.
Everybody. There is a reason we are talking about Wells Fargo this morning. Because among many other things, Wells Fargo has a phenomenal Power Platform program. You know, they were with us in a session yesterday sharing that they have now rolled out Power Apps Premium to the entire organization. And with that, thousands of applications and automations that are making work more efficient for everybody from the back office all the way to the front line. And in fact, they've gone even further than that. In fact, they've recently rolled out Copilot Studio agents to more than 4,000 bank branches. That's pretty impressive for a bank to move at that speed and agility, really targeting making all of the procedures in those branches work more efficiently. And so we want to zoom into this sort of scenario and look at that evolution from apps to intelligent apps, and from apps and processes to agents. And we're going to stick with this story of power of attorney, because it's actually a very important and complex process. So we're going to start here at a Power App. This is the type of app that a teller would use to manage all kinds of transactions in a bank. But today we're going to work with a customer who's come in to make a power of attorney request. Now, if you've never had to do this in a bank, it's a tricky process. If you want to perform a transaction over an account that you do not control, let's say we want to go extract $150,000 here. We have to go produce a document that proves that we have power of attorney over that account. And so a teller would scan that document if we don't already have one in the system and submit it off. And this is where historically it would kick off a manual human process. In fact, that document wouldn't be processed in the bank branch. It would go to a specialist who's in a different location, possibly even in a different time zone, who would manually pick up that ticket off of a queue, or be called by the teller in the bank, and have to, in that moment, manually review and read the entire document and assess it on a number of structured dimensions. What is it? Is it a valid copy? When is it valid through? Is it signed and dated? What type of powers does it grant, etc. Right? This can take time, at least 15 to 20 minutes every single time. That's 15 to 20 minutes of a customer waiting. Right? That's not a great experience. And if that happens 3 or 4 times a day in every single branch, Wells estimates that can be as much as 25,000 hours a week in waiting time just in this process. Not anymore, right? This is an excellent opportunity for an agent. And the great thing about Power Platform is I don't even have to start from scratch. Because so much of that process is already described in a Power App, a Power Apps maker right here at powerapps.com can now come in and generate an agent from the app. And because we understand that app deeply, The Copilot in Power Apps can make suggestions about very specific tasks and skills within the app that an agent could help automate. And in fact, beyond just suggestions, because the app already understands the data sources, understands the forms and the logic and what people do with them, it can generate detailed instructions for the agent directly from the application. And like everything we've seen today, as a maker, I can edit this and I can work with the Copilot and iterate on top. I'm going to remove one of the instructions and add another. Hey, if you're unsure about anything, escalate to a human for review. And just like that, we can kick off a process to go create an agent. Now, that takes a couple of minutes, but you've come to the right cooking show today. The good news is I've already built an agent. In fact, it's already up and running for this scenario. And we're going to come over here into Copilot Studio and look at what that agent looks like. Right down to all the details of what makes it work. Now, you can see the description and the instructions for the agent have come through, but it's not only those open text instructions. I also have the data sources in the app coming through as knowledge for the agent. And in fact, you can see all those same policies that we built a knowledge agent off of in Jeff's previous demo. The agent here is drawing on that same body of knowledge as well as structured information in the bank. And it's not an open-ended agent. It can't do everything. In fact, it has very specific actions that it can take, and in this case, one very specific trigger. And so it's a very scoped agent. Now, of course, all of these things I can continue to edit and iterate with. In fact, I can add additional knowledge sources, and not even just Microsoft sources like SharePoint and Dataverse. Let's just search on one letter here. I can add Salesforce or ServiceNow or Zendesk. The opportunities are incredibly broad with Copilot connectors and Power Platform. Now, this is the part of the show where somebody in the back of the room is crossing their arms and saying, wait a minute, Ryan. You're telling me that we're going to create totally autonomous agents that are not only going to answer questions, but they're going to perform actions over some of our most critical systems. And not only that, but just about anybody can come in and build one of these things? Are you crazy? How many people work with somebody like that? How many people are somebody like that? You can admit it. It's okay. You're among friends here. And look, the answer is we're not totally crazy. We're a little bit crazy. But this is happening in a completely managed platform. And I want to show you what that looks like, because this is not the Wild West. Both the agent and the maker are fully managed here. And let me show you what that means. The maker has full control and visibility over what the agent is doing at all times. I'm going to drill into analytics here. I'm going to see exactly what actions this agent took over the last week or over the last month and how successful it was. And in fact, even more than that, I can drill into every single instance of activity that the agent took. In fact, you can see here while we've been yakking, that agent picked up the power of attorney request I made at 9:04 and has already worked on it and already completed its task. We'll drill into that in a minute, but I want to show you how the maker themselves is also managed here. Right? Because Power Platform is now a fully managed platform, and Wells Fargo has rolled out managed environments to more than 1,900 individual Power Platform environments. That means they can automate policies and governance and now full control over security and operations, because we've rolled out this week managed security and managed operations in Power Platform. And so simple things like I'll try to share this agent, but you'll notice I've made some poor decisions on purpose here about the policies, and so I'm blocked in sharing until I address those issues. Or if I go to the homepage of copilotstudio.com to create a new agent, I'm actually welcomed with a custom message from my IT department that keeps me on the straight and narrow and tells me exactly what I can do in this environment. And so in this way, Power Platform is not only the fastest way to go generate agents and automate work, it is also by far the safest way, the most secure, the most governable, and the easiest to operate. But let's wrap this story where we started, back in the bank branch. And I'm going to come back in here to my list of transactions and refresh that list and see that, in fact, that request for an $150,000 withdrawal has been rejected. Not because the document was invalid. In fact, the agent is explaining its logic to me here right inside of the app, but because specifically it looks like that document only granted power for real estate transactions and not financial transactions. And in fact, just like a maker could see the full history of what the agent did inside of Copilot Studio, even an end user here in the application can see the exact thought process and set of actions that the agent took on the user's behalf right inside of the application. And so this is how applications are becoming intelligent. Are becoming infused with agents that take so much of that manual work off of the plate of a human. And just this one example, radically compressing 25,000 hours a week. But that's just one process in one division of one customer. Folks, if you zoom out from that, we have an opportunity to make every app, every process intelligent. But the only way we're going to do that scalably and at the speed that our organizations demand is on a higher level of abstraction, is on a fully managed platform. And that's what Power Platform represents in the context of Microsoft 365. It's rethinking what we create, how we build it, and how we govern and scale and operate it. And that is powerful. Back to you, Nicole.
All right, thank you, Ryan and Jeff, for walking us through how a customer like Wells Fargo is using agents to rethink their business processes. With SharePoint agents and Copilot Studio, you now have the right tools for creating new agents and modernizing your applications. Now, to hear directly from a customer who is creating agents, I'd like to invite David Martin from Unilever on stage to show you how Unilever is using Copilot to reinvent the way marketing professionals bring their brands to life. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Nicole. Hey, guys. My name is David Martin. I'm a solutions architect at Unilever for our employee technology services team. As a technology team, our goal is to empower our business, streamline our processes, and improve efficiencies to help our brands and products brighten the everyday lives of our consumers. You all know that we're in an explosion of AI right now, but at Unilever, this has led business leaders to literally be banging on our doors to infuse AI into their business processes. So today, I'm excited to give you a small glimpse into one of our workflow agents with the Knorr brand agent, built as a declarative agent in Copilot Studio. Knorr is Unilever's biggest food brand. It's been in kitchens all over the world for over a century. Maybe in some of your kitchens as well. Knorr chicken bouillon, am I right? Our goal with the agent was to help marketers find material and get more out of that powerful brand data, the valuable brand data that helps better our company. So let me show you right now on how we do that. First, imagine you're a new marketer at a team, and you just want to know a little bit about who would be the best influencers to work with when starting a marketing campaign. Let's just ask the bot the simple question. What type of influencers do I reach out to? As you can see, it's going to be quickly crafting both suggestions and guidance, all from, most importantly, Unilever-grounded specific data like the Knorr brand playbook. As Nicole showed earlier, we can edit this content in Pages. But why don't we use it in other M365 apps as well, like PowerPoint or Word? Oh, yikes, that dreaded blank page. Let's turn up the inspiration and use Brand Agent to create content that I can collaborate with my team members. Let's imagine that the Knorr team has told me that consumers love to use Knorr products when making spaghetti bolognese. Yes, it is amazing. So I'm going to ask the bot to suggest a couple examples on how influencers could advertise with Knorr products in that dish, and I'm really excited to see what type of recipe hacks and creative cooking styles can come up from this. I hit the prompt, I let that grounding information build through those amazing LLMs, and I'm going to get really creative, inspiring ideas right off the bat. Look at all those beautiful techniques. This is a super, super clean and good start. I really like these ideas. I want to do more with them, but I don't know that much about the brand yet. So now I'm going to ask the agent to make a quick table and help me organize some of this information. I want the first column to be these rich ideas. I want another column to give me new recipe suggestions for each of them, and I'm going to put a third column in there and just leave it blank for now. Ah, love you, love you. So look at this. I've got amazing techniques that I was already inspired with on the previous page, new recipe suggestions for me, and everything I need to quickly copy this, paste it in Word, and solve my blank page in less than a minute. I can share this output with my colleagues in Teams. I can do the same thing in PowerPoint and just get right to building those slides. But I want to show you more about what's happening behind the scenes. What we have is agents that empower us to use amazing LLMs, specific information, and really good instructions. That way, we can start off small on just a few documents, or we can scale up big and bring in third-party data. We can even take the actions and send them to downstream systems, all while knowing that this is security and governed. We've got geographic data residency, data loss protection, and compliance regulatory locked in. So this is why we use Copilot agents. It really keeps the richness of our company's information with our users side by side to support them in their work and ensure the quality in our processes. This is just the beginning. We're working with departments beyond marketing to build even more agentic solutions for specific needs. R&D teams who can use the agents to reference market research. Our claims teams who can ensure accuracy and quality in our statements about all our products. The possibilities are just about limitless. Agents meet our employees where they need. Our goal is to help them feel empowered, enjoy their work, freely experiment with new ideas, reduce that cognitive load, and increase that inspiration. That's why at Unilever, we're just so excited about the possibilities in front of us, and I really hope all of you are as well. Thank you so much for allowing me to have this time, and thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, David. It's exciting to see how you and the team at Unilever are transforming key business processes across many functions with Copilot and agents. CIOs and IT professionals like David are at the epicenter of this AI transformation. Now, Microsoft has been one of the earliest adopters of AI. And over the past 18 months, our IT department has deployed Copilot to over 300,000 employees and vendors worldwide. Now, I'm excited to introduce Stefan from the Microsoft IT department to share some of our lessons learned, along with tips on how to deploy and manage Copilot at scale. Stefan, please join us.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. Today, I want to share the lessons we learned to empower every IT team to confidently adopt and accelerate Copilot and agents. I'll do that by walking you through the Copilot control system, a foundational layer that will help you stay secure and compliant by creating data governance policies, managing risk, and measuring impact. First, let's talk about governance. You can only imagine how much content Microsoft has accumulated over the years. Put simply, because Copilot leverages the graph plus the data and content in your tenant, if you don't have governance in place, you won't be successful. We have learned a few lessons and best practices on how to do this, but I'm going to share two with you today. First, we rely on sensitivity labeling. We really focus on this because Copilot is built to respect labels, permissions, and rights management service protections. If you have effective sensitivity labeling in place, then anything you want to remain private or confidential will stay that way. This is the perfect time to refresh employee knowledge on sensitivity labeling and oversharing. Second, it's also the right time to ensure you can audit and revoke access to content that is overshared. We use data loss prevention capabilities in Microsoft Purview to do this. It gives us a level of file-level security wherever the data or content lives to help with data governance.
Now, these are very helpful tips, and we want to make sure it's easier for all of our customers to accelerate their adoption of Copilot while maintaining their IT control over content stored in SharePoint. I'm excited to announce that we're including SharePoint Advanced Management in Copilot. You will now have better tools and reports to manage and secure SharePoint site content. Yeah, you can clap. So you can prevent oversharing while establishing your broader governance strategy.
That's great to see. Thanks, Nicole. Next, let's talk about tenant management. Implementing Copilot isn't as easy as just turning on licenses and alerting your users. Just like with governance, we have some lessons here. Our first lesson is to design a phased rollout strategy for who you want to have access first. This takes out the guesswork and gives your IT admins clarity on the licensing needs of different groups within your organization. Then, leverage groups to scale. At Microsoft, we started with individual licenses at the user level, and as our implementation scaled, we tied licensing automation to M365 groups. Those groups could be defined by teams, organizations, or regions. But this is only scratching the surface of the amount of tasks IT departments have to deal with every day.
You're totally right. Not only do we invest in helping end users be more productive, we also want to make sure your job as IT professionals is easier with Copilot. I'm excited to announce that we're delivering Copilot to Microsoft 365 admin centers. This AI assistant will transform how IT admins will manage their tenant, receiving insights and automating those time-consuming tasks that you do every single day. Now, Stefan, will you show this to the group?
Happy to. In an environment as complex as Microsoft's tenant, our admins are always eager to keep on top of the latest updates, but they honestly struggle to keep up. They get over 50 messages per week. Now, with Copilot, admins can easily stay on top of the news with just the click of a button. And my new favorite button is this recap one here. I'm going to click on recap, and Copilot immediately summarizes all the information and key insights across various areas, including service health, Message Center, and more. This view is personalized to me based on my role, what parts of the admin center I use most, and the information in my tenant. Now, I want to know what the newest features are that have landed in Copilot. Copilot will help me summarize just that. Copilot pulls together all the recent information and posts related to new product improvements, and I can see the most relevant ones here, including this one regarding Copilot and Designer in Word. And that is just the beginning of how Copilot in admin centers can help automate time-consuming IT tasks and provide personalized insights to improve tenant management. Finally, I want to talk to you about driving adoption and measurement. The fact that your employees are excited to try out a powerful new technology isn't enough. First, we localized adoption efforts to cohorts. We divided our adoption efforts along two vectors: internal organizations like sales or legal, and regions like North America or Europe. Then we engage with those cohorts with targeted communications, customized training, and a community specific to their needs, their roles, or even their native language. Then, once you have adoption efforts in place, you need to continuously measure improvement. Evolving how you measure the success of Copilot is important. We started with monthly active usage, then weekly, and then finally daily. We want Copilot to help our users every day, so we adjusted our measures for delivering real business value.
It's great to hear how Microsoft has been tracking and driving Copilot adoption. But to measure your impact even easier in your organization, we're introducing Viva Insights is included in Copilot. Copilot Analytics is your go-to tool for measuring AI transformation. It has both out-of-the-box and custom reporting across Copilot and all of the agents that you will create in Copilot Studio. Stefan, can you give us a glimpse of the new Business Impact Report?
Definitely. Let's check it out. Some of our team success metrics are around help desk metrics, like resolution rate and overall satisfaction. So let's see how Copilot impacted those. First, I refine what a positive business outcome means for my team. So I adjust the KPIs accordingly. I can see here, IT ticket resolution rate. The threshold is a bit low, so I'm going to increase this to 85%. And next, I can see how low to high Copilot usage is defined within my report. Looks good to me. In this summary view, I can see how Copilot usage relates to key help desk metrics. It looks like the higher the Copilot usage, the quicker the time to resolution. A similar story plays out for satisfaction and ticket resolution rate. Next, I want to zoom out and see how this plays out over time. Here, I can see that employees who use Copilot more frequently consistently have greater productivity over time. This is incredibly useful to see the impact. Frankly, we've just scratched the surface of all the lessons Microsoft and Microsoft Digital had in deploying Copilot. So we created an entire guide with the best practices that you can use during your own implementation. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Nicole.
Thank you, Stefan. This is just the beginning of how we're helping every IT team confidently govern, manage, and measure Copilot and agents. And it's only going to get better from here. I want to end by thanking you all for partnering with us, for sharing your feedback, and for building Copilot with us. Here are just a few of the Copilot and Copilot Studio sessions at Ignite designed to help you with your AI transformation. Thank you again, and have a great show.